All right, good evening and welcome to the Supreme Petition. Tonight, all eyes are on the Supreme Court as the clock counts down to the final hours for the three respondents in this case, that is the IEBC, its chair Wafula Chebukati and President Uhuru Kenyatta, to file their responses. By midnight, all the respondents must have dropped their documents at the registrar's office. My colleague Sophia Wanuna is pitching camp at the Supreme Court and now joins us live as we begin this. And Sophia, has any of the respondents arrived with their documents as we speak right now?
Good evening, Joe. Not yet, but what we can report at this point, just a few minutes ago, Ahmed Nasser Abdullahi, who's one of the lead counsel for President Uhuru Kenyatta, arrived here, and we understand he's just stepped out to go make some of the payments that are required when filing their responses. So the rest of the team, of course, we've been seeing on social media, the president, the spokesperson as well, have tweeted out saying they are ready to file their responses to this petition. We've spoken to the lawyers as well. They're saying about under half hour they will be getting here to the Supreme Court. So we are waiting for that party. But also the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, as well as the chair, who's the second respondent, that team yet to arrive as well. We've been facing a lot of timelines. In the earlier on, they said they would be coming here at 4. That moved to 6. It is now 8 p.m. As you mentioned, they have until midnight tonight to file their responses to this Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka petition. So it's a wait here for us as we wait for them to come.
This is emerging as a midnight affair, Sophia. I mean, it started with the announcement of the results going very close to midnight, NASA filing its petition just about 18 minutes or so to midnight, and now we are seeing this night business. Any idea why these people are taking so long to come?
Joe, you must put into consideration it is a lot of work. What we understand, for example, from the IEBC side, in preparing their responses to this petition, there's also the affidavits that must be prepared, which require swearing of the same. And with those affidavits, then there is the question of evidence that supports the same. And after all of that is put together, then compiling, that's the manual work of just putting all of these documents together in and of itself is taxing. It does take a lot of time. So that could speak to why we're seeing this lengthy period. I doubt they're sitting back and saying, let's wait for DAC so that we may show up. I just suppose it's the stringent, strict timelines they're working with and the huge amount of work and paperwork as well they must be going through before they submit. It's one of those you really do not want to miss anything. You don't want to leave any loopholes. You want to make sure you've put in your best case forward, as well as responses, Joe.
Yeah, let's hope that the judges won't make their ruling at midnight. But let's talk a little bit about the two gentlemen that apparently are seeking to be enjoined, the two presidential candidates. There's Professor Wainaina. There's also Ekuru Aukot, who had indicated earlier, actually, that he will be seeking to join this case. What exactly are they saying? What do they want?
Actually, Joe, his lawyer, that's Michael Wainaina, who was an independent candidate, Harrison Kinyanjui, is here at the Supreme Court. He's at the registry. He was just making the final payments with the documentation they've been able to file. So they're seeking to be enjoined as respondents. So their argument is that the election conducted on 8th of August was done in a transparent fashion. It was done in accordance to the law. So they are supporting the respondents in this case, Uhuru Kenyatta, the IEBC, as well as the chair. That is different, however, from Ekuru Aukot, who we understand already filed his application to be enjoined. He's arguing that the judges of the Supreme Court should invalidate that 8th of August general election. So those two are the parties we know so far have applied to be part of this suit. And remember, tomorrow is also a day that's open for any other person, any other party who may desire to be part of this petition to apply. That application must be a maximum of 5 pages. We understand the Attorney General, who also sought in the last petition 2013 to be a friend of the court, or amicus curiae, if you like, according to legal lingo, is expected tomorrow, and he has a deadline of 1 p.m. to seek and to submit his brief of why he would want to be party to this. But you talked about this nighttime affairs. What we understand is actually the pre-trial conference will be taking place on Saturday at 7 p.m. because what will happen tomorrow is after whoever wants to participate, all these applications are brought to the Supreme Court, then the parties, that's the petitioner as well as the respondents, get up until midday of Saturday to reply, to answer to those applications. And then Saturday afternoon, the judges of the Supreme Court will get to review and write their judgments and decisions regarding the same. And then at 7 p.m. is what we're hearing is when they will sit for a pretrial conference, which will be open to the media to cover, so everybody will be able to follow the proceedings. And in essence, that pretrial conference is to agree on the matters that will actually be coming before the Supreme Court, the prayers, the specific issues for determination by the judges. Joe.
And speaking of that, Sophia, as we bring this to a close, you mentioned that there could be a pretrial conference happening on Saturday evening. There's the little matter of the CJ, whether he could be there or not. And then when do we get to hear to get the hearings underway?
Yes, the matter of the Chief Justice and whether on Saturday he will sit because he's a Seventh-day Adventist. He had indicated he would not during the interviews for the CJ position. For that, we await word from the Supreme Court. When we spoke to the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, she did say there is a way in which judges could go around it. She was not specific, so we wait to hear from that. We understand by tomorrow there will be a press release just giving guidelines on what to expect going forward. And of course, after the pre-trial conference, what we expect thereafter is the hearing proper. And many have been wondering, when is that likely to happen? Most likely Sunday is when they'll begin. But again, it is a matter that the judges will have to pronounce themselves on as to how long the trial as well or the hearings will continue. Again, it is one of those we'll have to wait because, for instance, if the petitioners argue they need a day and a half to argue their case in court, then that means the respondents will equally get a day and a half to respond to the allegations or the matters that will be raised. So that could mean 3 days. But that again, as I said there, Joe, we'll wait for guidance from the judges.
Finally, Sophia, I understand that there is an observer mission that has come from some parts of the world, that some team actually arrived yesterday or today. Tell us about that.
Yes, the International Commission of Jurists is hosting a group of legal minds from around the continent, and we know that the person leading this particular mission is a former Chief Justice of Zambia. His name is Ernest Sakala. So they arrived in the country today, and they're here to observe. They say they're not just observing the hearing or the proceedings here, that they have been following events in Kenya. We will seek to just get in touch with them to understand as well the scope of the same, but it is to, they are saying, to ensure they get a sitting and a hearing with all the parties so that they all know, in a statement they wrote, so that all parties know that as they go through this particular presidential petition, the world is watching. There is great scrutiny on the petition, and so we will wait to see. Even the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary had mentioned, in fact, that part of what we'll be seeing in the courtroom are these observers, and in fact, tomorrow, we understand in the afternoon, she will be taking the media through a walkthrough of who will be seated where, what will be happening, the parties expected in court. Joe.
Thank you very much, Sophia.
All right, Joe, and I understand there's some arrivals. Let me just jump in there. We have a few people outside, so allow me to walk with Kibet. We have a few people right outside the gate who just want to get an idea of who these are, because at this particular point it's really all standing by to see, but no, it appears it's number of journalists that are there. So let's just get you some of those pictures. Not much happening outside, Joe, so I'll hand it back to you. We had thought that it was some of the parties arriving.
Sophia,
so
that is just one more proof that you'll be having a very long night there, a stakeout. So please, let me leave you to go and nose around and see who else is there. But thank you very much, Sophia. We'll definitely be getting back to you, and do let us know as soon as the respondents arrive there with the papers. All right. So I have two gentlemen here, and I'll be introducing them in a moment. One is Waikwa Nyoike. You have been here many times, Executive Director of Katiba Institute. Thank you very much. And we're also joined by Mudhomi Dhiankolu. I told you I would have a problem with your name, but law lecturer at the University of Nairobi and a member of the Retirement Benefit Tribunal. He holds a master's in international economic law from the University of Warwick. So thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. And at some point, we'll be joined by Martin Olo by way of phone from Diani, where there's an LSK conference going on there. But gentlemen, interesting developments at the court. Just bring our viewers up to speed. What exactly is going on? We see all these respondents and responses and everything. I'll start with you, Mudhomi. What exactly is that? So that whoever is watching us know exactly what these people are going to do in court tonight.
Many thanks, Joe, for inviting me. Simply what is taking place is the respondents, that is the people against whom allegations have been made, are required by law to respond. That is to say, to answer to the allegations made by the complainants in the petition. In very simple terms, the rules require you to answer every allegation of fact that the complainant is making. So in very summarized way, the only thing taking place is they walk to the registry with a document, perhaps a bundle like this, saying that we have read allegation number 1, perhaps to 20, perhaps to 1,000, and with respect to each allegation, our responses are as follows. And then they expected in that response as well to attach evidence that they are relying upon. Basically, if you don't respond to any particular allegation, you're deemed not to be contesting that particular allegation. And the reason the paperwork would be quite voluminous arises purely because of the need to answer each and every specific allegation.
But a lot of Kenyans have been wondering, 25,000 pages when NASA filed, I think there was 54,000 at some point in some IBC, I think, in their response and all that. Surely these are very many documents. What happens with that?
Yeah, but while the documents may be many, actually...
Someone was asking me, are those judges actually going to read each and every page of whatever 54,000, 25,000?
It is not humanly possible, but that shouldn't worry anyone, because for each allegation, you'd imagine that several of the documents relate to one allegation anyway. So that I would imagine the documents are arranged thematically. By way of example, if someone is saying results were fudged, that is to say the figures were increased or decreased fraudulently, in the bundle of those 54,000 or whatever, you'll be saying from page 10 all the way to page 3,000, this is my evidence about the allegation of fudging the numbers. Maybe someone else in another allegation, they'll be saying the results were not properly authenticated by duly authorized agent. And in my petition or in my answer, if you check from page 2,000 to page 8,000, these are the forms that are not properly...
I get it, but there's no requirement for them to file things at night. I think that's just... the whole thing of evidence, I know there is only so much that we can talk about at this stage, given that these things have all been filed. But in a case where someone, for example, says, well, this document does not match with this one, and therefore whatever was declared is not right, and then the IBC has something, no, but it matches. What does the court do when people present all manner of documents that they will be saying, this is what proves our case?
Usually in a case where there is a contestation.
Like 34A, 34B, for example. Someone says, this one proves that this does not add up. The other one says, no, mine is here, it proves.
Yeah, basically when there is a case of contestation of authenticity of document or having two documents. So for example, we expect to see in this case contradictory documents. You might find that in certain polling station, the Form 34A presented by the petitioners does not necessarily match the Form 34A that is being presented by IBC or Uhuru Kenyatta is a respondent. And in that case, traditionally what happens is that the court has the right to call the person who've presented that document by way of an affidavit. They have him or her come to court, and something called cross-examination is done to test whether in fact what they are telling is true. In this case, I don't think we may have the privilege to do that.
Yeah, because of the time is short and all that.
Yes, because of the timeline, and we have quite a number of witnesses. So if you have to do that, then you find that it will take a very long time.